The winner of this Week 17 game against the Kansas City Chiefs likely determines the winner of the AFC West. So because of that, there's a whole lot at stake for both of these teams as the Chiefs look to win the division for the millionth season in a row, and Denver looks to be the one who finally puts an end to Kansas City's reign at the top of the West. We've also got a prospect profile today. We'll be going over the tight ends and offensive linemen in this year's draft class. But first, let's take a look at where the team is with 2 weeks left to go, sitting at a record of 10-5. Currently the number 2 seed, coming off of a huge Thursday night victory against the Baltimore Ravens in a high-scoring shootout. Game of the year, really fun matchup, but we ended up getting the win. A big one for us because it snapped our 2-game losing streak, despite the fact that we were coming in with a short week. And it gives us a tiebreaker over the Ravens in terms of seeding, which, if the standings were to hold up as they are, would prove to be very beneficial. 34-31 final score, the late field goal by Will Lutz to help us finish off the job. We started the game on fire. We were up 17-0 halfway through the second quarter. It was a blowout, but then the Ravens came storming back. 10 minutes later, they had the lead, but we were able to hold our composure despite a rough stretch and pull off the comeback, if you can even call it that. We were only down by like 4. But finding a way to win the game, even though we were banged up. Much of the receiving core was injured, but we're probably going to have everyone healthy today, and that includes Marvin Mims, who has not played a whole lot this year. I am excited to have him back in the fold, hopefully for good. Hopefully he doesn't get injured for the 1000th time. As I said, we've got a prospect profile. Finally, I've been waiting to get one through, and we're going to be going over tight ends and offensive linemen today. I don't think these are two major positions of need, but it never hurts to add to the offensive line. And then I think we're in an interesting spot with tight end because we don't necessarily have a ton of depth on the roster. Obviously, Harold Fannin has really broken out for us this year. He currently leads the team in terms of catches and yards. He's been really good. Big hit for us at the end of the third round a couple years ago. But we've also started to use the fullback as more of a prevalent position in the offense. Rivaldo Fairweather has been the fullback. He's done a pretty good job, but I don't hate the idea of converting a tight end in this class to the fullback position or just running more 12 personnel to begin with. I think it would help us in the run game, especially if said tight end can block. And if they can catch, then that would certainly be useful as well. Nonetheless, I don't think we're going to pick a tight end early, given that we've got an established guy at the top. But I do want to look at a couple players at the top, as we'll start with Jaden Reddle out of Georgia, the top projected tight end in this class. Him and Dorian Thomas are close together. Gavin Hoffman as well from Iowa. But with Reddle, I think you're looking at the tight end with probably the highest upside, or at least certainly the most untapped potential in the draft. Major threat with the ball in his hands. He has grown into his body quite well with the dogs. Solid route runner, solid hands. He really hasn't played a whole lot up until this season, obviously sitting behind very talented tight ends in his time, such as Brock Bowers, Oscar Delp. Georgia has developed these hybrid athletic wide receiver tight end type of players, and Reddle, while he's not as good as, say, Delp or Bowers, he looks to be next on the list. Dorian Thomas from Arizona, what you see is what you get. I think he's got a really high floor and is going to be a good starter in this league. Lack of athleticism hurts his ceiling. Gavin Hoffman from Tight End University had 9 catches in the Rose Bowl semifinal game against USC. They ended up losing, but certainly was not his fault. I'm intrigued by the upside of Shamar Easter. We got to see him in Arkansas, and he dominated the Kansas defense. He finished with over 100 yards. He wasn't really a big piece of the offense up until this season, and I think the problem for the Razorbacks is that they didn't really know how to use him. He's got the height, he's got the arm length, he's not necessarily the biggest though. He's not a traditional inline tight end, and they've used him as their big slot receiver where he's been successful. He only has 1 year of true production, and he doesn't necessarily have NFL wide receiver athleticism, but he does have the size you look for. I'm curious to see if there's any long-term potential with him moving to the outside as more of an X receiver. After him, Ethan Davis, solid player from Tennessee. I like Marcus Dixon from Clemson, solid basketball background. Walter Matthews has played well in the playoff for USC. Hayden George of Nevada, he torched our Kansas defense in the first round. I really like Jamari Johnson, though, from Army. Started his career at Louisville, had a great freshman season. Looked like he was going to be a first or second round draft pick, but he transfers to Army, a team who's obviously not known for throwing the ball. He's been used as sort of a hybrid tight end, fullback, really good blocker, but can catch the ball. I think he'd be a good fit for what we're looking for at fullback. As for the offensive line, I think it's improved a lot this year. Of course, we drafted Tree Babalade in the first round. He hasn't played a lot. He will be making his third start today with Francis Maui-Noa moving inside to guard. Andrew Thomas, of course, has been a lot better than last year, and the interior has been fine as well. Now, we're probably still going to look to pick one at some point anyway, given that you can never have too many good offensive linemen, but it's not as much of a pressing need as we would have thought, say, a year or two ago. I do want to look at some of the top tackles in this class because it is a loaded offensive tackle class, specifically at left tackle. Caden Jones is a large human being, 6'8", nearly 340 pounds. Men should not move the way Caden Jones does. This kid is an absolute freak. Really good pass protector, although he was a little bit inconsistent this year. I would argue worse in pass pro as a junior, but I think he's gotten better as a run blocker. If he can be consistent in the run game and prove that his pass blocking inconsistencies are not going to be a long-term issue, then I think you're looking at a top 5 pick. His upside is sky high. I don't think he's as good as you would hope for a top 5 pick at tackle. I don't think it'll be a seamless transition for him, but I think that you're looking at Hall of Fame type of upside, and I do not say that lightly. That's the type of ceiling I think Caden Jones brings to the table. But behind him, you've got some other guys to look out for. Kevin Strickland Jr. out of Ohio State. I think he's going to go probably in the back end of the top 10. And oftentimes when you're a team picking in the first round looking for an offensive lineman, you're just looking for the cleanest prospect on the board. A guy who, maybe unlike Caden Jones, really doesn't have many major weaknesses. And I think that's what Strickland brings to the table. I think he's a better run blocker than Jones is. I don't think he has the upside in pass protection, but I do think he's a little bit more consistent on a play-by-play basis. He also moves really well for his size. It's just that he's not 6'8", 340 pounds. But I think some teams are going to have him higher than Jones on their board. And I think the same can be said for Tyree Adams from LSU. Another very clean prospect who doesn't really present many weaknesses. And I think some teams may have him not just ahead of Jones, but as their top offensive tackle in the draft. He has left and right side flexibility. He's played on both sides of the line. Has played right tackle this year for LSU, where I think he has been pound for pound the best offensive lineman in the country. 6'7", 305, a little bit skinny, but he's got good height. He's got good arm length, really good pass blocker. Did not allow a sack all year until the final game in the college football playoff quarterfinals against Alabama, a game that LSU, of course, lost. But as a 2-year starter, he waited his time, and he's been unbelievably good since becoming a starter. There are no major weaknesses to his game. After them, you've got Brandon Baker of Texas, 3-year starter, highly productive player, probably going to go in the second round. Isaiah Robinson, 4-year starter at Baylor. I don't think he's ever going to have a really high ceiling, but he's another player where what you see is what you get. Johnny Williams of West Virginia, I like quite a bit. At right tackle, though, there's not as much, although both Caden Jones and Tyree Adams have played right tackle this year. I'm actually most intrigued by this guy at the bottom, Paul Mabenga. He's only started half a season in his collegiate career at LSU, but he's got some impressive potential. As we move over to guard, you've got a couple good ones here on the right side, including Kelton Smith Jr. out of Georgia, likely to be the only guard in the first round. Another guy where the first thing you notice is his physically imposing size. 6'4", 330 pounds. He's built like an offensive tackle, and I wouldn't be surprised if the team tries him out there. Worst case, though, you're probably getting a really good guard. His mobility, his foot speed at his size is really impressive. One of the better pure run blockers in the draft. And then a good pass protector. He's only let up 2 sacks in his collegiate career. Although I would argue Missouri's Logan Reichert has been a little bit more dominant this year than Smith. He doesn't necessarily have the pedigree going back a couple of seasons. He really broke out as a senior this year for the Tigers, winning the NCAA's best interior lineman. It certainly doesn't hurt that he's 370 pounds. Yet he's large, really large. And generally, when you see a 370-pound power lineman in the draft, you think, oh, this guy might be able to win with pure strength, but he can't move. He's like a rock. Wrong. Logan Reichert can really move at his size, and given the combination of athleticism, along with being 370 pounds, along with the production this year as a senior, I think his stock really could rise. And I think a team in the back end of the first round could talk themselves into the upside he brings to the table, despite his struggles in prior seasons. As we move down the board, I like Harris Sewell from Clemson. He had a terrific year. Emmanuel Fields from Ole Miss. Familiar name down the board, though. James Livingston from Michigan. He started his collegiate career at Kansas before entering the transfer portal this year as arguably the best player in the portal going to Michigan. So he's a 3-year starter. As a sophomore, he was the starting right tackle for Kansas. Didn't go great. A lot of penalties, inconsistent in pass protection, so he moves inside to guard. And in 2 regular seasons with Kansas and Michigan, he's allowed 0 sacks. I say regular season because we go back last year to the playoff. He allowed 4 sacks against Michigan and then was a double agent and jumped ship to the team who demolished him up front. In the biggest game of his career against some of the best defensive linemen, he really struggled. And NFL evaluators have not forgotten that. However, he's been really good otherwise. Can't forget about Camden Beebe as well, 350-pounder from Kansas State. Yuck. He is the younger brother of Cooper Beebe, the Cowboys offensive lineman. James Durand from Wisconsin's had a great season at left guard. As we move over to center, a top 10 projected pick at center. That's unusual. But I would say unusual is the perfect word to describe Michigan's Coleman Vivian. If you remove positional value from the equation, he might be the best football player in the draft. I mean, look at him just mauling the defensive tackle who's bigger than him. And that's kind of the one question with him. He's undersized, 6'1", 297, but it hasn't been a problem at Michigan. Former 5-star recruit who won the starting job as a true freshman, and he has not looked back. He's been one of the best offensive linemen in the country since he debuted as a true freshman. We got to watch him live in the college football playoff game last year against Kansas, the same game where his teammate now, James Livingston, allowed 4 sacks. And I think Coleman Vivian was the best player on the field. He recorded 31 pancakes in that game. It's not every day where you watch a game and the first thing you notice is the center. And normally if you do notice an offensive lineman, it's because they're playing poorly. But that was not the case at all with Vivian. He's been a little worse in pass protection this year, but it's not going to keep him out of the top 10 because his body of work is just too much. As a pancake enthusiast myself, his 31 pancakes against Kansas in the playoff last year will never not stick out to me. I think I could eat a lot of pancakes in one sitting. I don't know about 31, but I think I could do a lot. Anyway, Landon Marceline from Arizona State is really interesting because if Coleman Vivian's the best center prospect of at least the last decade, you could make an argument with just on-field production. Landon Marceline may very well be in second. However, there is a reason why he is projected to go in the 3rd round, despite the fact that he's a 97 overall in EA College Football 25, despite the fact that he's a great pass protector and a phenomenal run blocker. The problem with Marceline is that he cannot stay on the damn field. In 3 seasons at Arizona State, he has played, get ready for this, 14 games. 14. Yeah, that's a problem. So the injuries are a real concern with him. If he can stay healthy, though, I think he'll be really good. I like Cade Martin from UAB, highly productive player, and then DJ Chester from LSU. He's a 4-year starter with the Tigers, was a liability on the offensive line early in his career, but they stuck by him. He's gotten better and better and better. Very linear development, which I don't think is a bad thing, especially for an offensive lineman, and his consistent year-by-year improvement. I'm curious to see if that translates to the NFL. So that's our prospect profile. In the next episode, we're covering all defense. Defensive line, linebackers, secondary. We're going to have a lot to go through. So I'm excited to go through the entire side of the ball in one episode. But first, let's focus on our matchup here with the Kansas City Chiefs. We know it's at stake. Likely the winner of this game ends up winning the division. Both teams 10-5 currently, but we are ahead of them because we beat them a few weeks ago at home on Monday Night Football, 28-17. Our defense played well in this one. We only allowed 3 points in the second half, and our offense was able to pull off a comeback in the fourth quarter. Bo Nix had a pretty good game, while Patrick Mahomes put up eerily similar numbers. Nix completed 81% of his passes, though, in the win. The unfortunate thing with this game, though, is that Marvin Mims got injured in the first quarter. Mims has not played since, but as I said earlier, he is back today. And unlike last time, he doesn't have a new injury. He is actually going to play in this game. The Chiefs weren't horrible defensively, though. They made some nice plays. The rookie, Dalton Brooks, had an interception, although he is one of the many players on this Chiefs team who is injured and will not play. You'll notice that's a common problem with Kansas City. They've got a lot of guys who are hurt, but this guy isn't. Patrick Mahomes, in his 11th season, 10th as a starter, he has won the division every single season he has been with the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe we'll finally break that streak. Even though Mahomes is healthy, I cannot say the same for much of the remainder of the roster. He will have his wingman Isaiah Pacheco in the backfield, but he'll be without his top two receivers. No Rashee Rice, no Xavier Worthy. Major losses for Kansas City, and they'll be relying on some of their younger guys. Jurion Dickey, the second-round rookie, who's had a great season. His former Oregon teammate, Terrence Ferguson, along with the other rookie receiver, Zachariah Branch. On defense, they'll be without Denzel Burke. As I mentioned earlier, they'll be without Dalton Brooks. They are missing 6 starters, 4 on the offensive side of the ball. They are coming into this game hobbled, whereas we are fairly healthy. We did just recently lose Quinn Miners. Ashton Genty, of course, is still out, but for the most part, we're in a good spot health-wise, especially with Marvin Mims back today. I think Mahomes is going to have an extra chip on his shoulder here. We've beaten the Chiefs a few times in a row. Last time we were at Arrowhead in Season 3, we had a really crazy finish in a game that we ended up winning. And Mahomes certainly doesn't want to get swept by us either. So I imagine, along with the fact that the division is on the line, Mahomes really wants bragging rights over us as he connects with Hollywood Brown, breaking tackles, wrapped up with the 49 by Jeffrey Bossa, who's going to be playing games in this stadium in real life after getting drafted by the Chiefs this past weekend. 2nd and 5 on the run. It's Isaiah Pacheco. Breaks away from Bossa and is wrapped up by another real-life Kansas City Chief, Marvin Grant, who signed on with them for a rookie minicamp tryout. From the 17, Mahomes connects. It's Pacheco, who is tackled in the end zone by Drew Sanders for a touchdown. A quick start for the Chiefs. They march right down the field, and now we'll see what Bo Nix can do. It's been an interesting year for Bo. Of course, his game has taken a step up. The turnovers, though, have gone up as well in recent weeks, including a pick 6 against the Ravens, which wasn't really his fault. More so a great play by the rookie corner, Calvin Simpson-Hunt. But the interceptions and even the fumbles have gone up with him in recent weeks, and he's got to clean it up. On first down with Tez Johnson in motion, Nix has all day to throw it, steps up, and looks to run with it. As soon as the linebacker, number 55, Jay Higgins, stepped up, Bo Nix knew he was going to scramble for a first down. He was patient, waited for the rushing lane to get open, and makes a really nice maneuver. 2nd and 9, pump fake. Nix goes short. Curls get the girls. Marvin Mims, his first catch back. He gets the first down to the 47-yard line. Will we have a fully healthy Marvin Mims game today? I don't think we've had one since like week 1. Travion Henderson juking away from defenders to the 36. An impressive run there for Henderson, who continues to impress even without Ashton Genty in the lineup. At the 36, here is Nix, looks to throw it, under pressure, looking deep. He's got his man, Tez Johnson, to the 9. Even with Mims back, we're still going to depend on these other receivers, Johnson, Brazel, Ryan Williams. We're hoping all of those guys will still be able to make plays. 3rd and goal. Henderson looks to power his way in, and he does. Travion Henderson is in for a touchdown. So the Chiefs on their first drive find the end zone. Denver does the exact same. We are knotted up at 7. Kansas City back with it. Mahomes looks to be calling some kind of switch at the line. Hands it off for Isaiah Pacheco, who is wrapped up. Baron Browning with the initial hit. And Marvin Grant brings him down. It's kind of a homecoming for Grant. I mean, he's not really from here, but he did play at the University of Kansas for a few years. As that one is caught, but not for a first down. An impressive grab by Jurion Dickey, who's had an outstanding rookie year. But Drew Sanders does a great job of tackling him immediately, not letting him get the first down. Denver back with it, 3rd and 1 at the 39. They'll go with Henderson up the middle. He does not get it. A great tackle by Leo Chanel, one of the more underrated defensive players in the NFL, period. Looks like Henderson's got some words with L.T. Overton, the young defensive lineman out of Alabama. Chiefs back with it. Here is Pacheco breaking tackles to the 30. So both offenses scored touchdowns on their initial drives. Then on drive number 2, they each get nothing. What's in store for drive number 3? Mahomes up the middle, places it beautifully in the breadbasket with the backup tight end, Jared Wiley, who's been able to carve out a role here even with Terrence Ferguson as the main guy. At the 47, play action. Mahomes on the run. He's got Dickey. Down the field, he is leveled by Marvin Grant, but not before getting it to the 23. Dickey's a big game player. As a junior in the national title game, he had 10 catches for 200 yards in an Oregon win. He's going to get to play in a lot of big games with the Chiefs, including this one. Tied at 7-1, the AFC West potentially on the line, with the winner putting themselves in first place of the division with a win, controlling their own fate going into Week 18 as Wiley gets it to the 8. Marvin Grant's been flying all over the field, making a bunch of tackles early. As it's 3rd and goal at the 7, the Chiefs are having some trouble punching it in with Dickey in motion. Mahomes hit as he throws. Wide open! It is Treylon Ray, the rookie out of West Virginia, another one of the young guys on this roster. How was he that wide open? We were able to send some pressure. Everybody else was covered, but there was nobody in that part of the end zone. On 3rd and 3, it's Rivaldo Fairweather past the 50. Fullbacks are people, too. I know he wasn't lined out as a fullback there, but still, a nice play for Fairweather, getting the first down conversion. On the 42 now, we will go with Henderson to the right side. Invisible stiff arm, gets a block by Fairweather, inside the 5 to the 1. It's a gain of 41 yards for Trey, and Denver is marching on the doorstep, looking to tie it at 14. 1st and goal. Mix is going to look to throw it. He will go short, and it's hauled in. Nice catch. The brotherly connection. It's Tez Johnson in for a score, and we are knotted up at 14. So now Kansas City gets back. We're copying them. Whatever their offense does, we do the same. I guess if you're doing the same thing as Mahomes, it's usually a good thing. Pacheco breaks the tackle going backwards. It is Marvin Grant who finishes him off. Nick Bonito with the initial hit. 3rd down and 6 now at the 30. Ferguson in motion. He was a little bit banged up earlier, but is back in the game. Mahomes looks to throw it under pressure, evades the sack from Browning, but is eventually wrapped up by Michael Williams. Only a gain of 2. Denver forces a punt. Okay, maybe we don't want to copy the Chiefs' offense here. Let's try to take this lead. 2nd and 3 at the 33. Nix under pressure, hit as he throws, lobs it up. Williams wide open, and it's incomplete. He was the decoy, stretching the field deep, but he ended up winning his rep off the line. The problem is Nix realized a split second too late. 3rd and 3, broken up, could have been intercepted. I don't know why Stephen Daly is in coverage. He's a very good edge rusher. Usually has his hand in the dirt, but I mean, he made the play there. Power to him. Look at Mahomes on the run. Scrambles for the first down. I thought he was going to get sacked. Patrick Mahomes can move. Even in his 30s, he's got some wheels. From the 47 now for Kansas City, looking to regain the lead. Here is Mahomes. Backs up in the pocket, up the middle. That one is hauled in by Ferguson. Marvin Grant has been an animal in this game. He seems to know exactly where the football is. It's impressive for a guy who isn't generally playing in the box. Short throw, Kavorian Barnes breaks the tackle, flipped up, and gets the first. Isaiah Pacheco got injured earlier on the drive, so it'll be Barnes and Jaden Ott the rest of the way. 2 very different skill sets as Denver calls for a switch at the line here on 3rd down and 10. Mahomes looks to throw it. Busted coverage, wide open. Jurion Dickey drags the feet inbounds for a Chiefs touchdown. Kansas City takes the lead. You want to know what happened there? What are those goofballs doing? Colin Wright and Savon Revel ran into each other as Wright was trying to cover the deep part of the end zone. Can you really call that a blown coverage? They knew their assignments. They were just running around with blindfolds. Denver back with it. Marvin Mims up the middle following the 2-minute warning. He brings it to the 17-yard line. Good to see Mims getting involved, and more so, it's good to see him staying healthy this time around. 3rd and 6 at the 13. Nix up the middle. He's got Mims again. Nice catch. Took a shot on that one. 5 catches, 56 yards here in the first half for Marvin Mims. He has been busy. As it's 2nd and goal at the 1. We're letting this clock burn. Travion Henderson is in, chewing as much clock as possible, ultimately scoring the touchdown and not letting the Chiefs get the ball back as we go into the break. This game has been as advertised, 21-21. Patrick Mahomes has been, Patrick Mahomes. I said he was going to come in with a chip on his shoulder, and boy, has he. 3 touchdown passes, but our offense has matched the billing. Why is the map so dark? This game is something else. We'll start in New Orleans, a low-scoring game between the Colts and the Saints. The only touchdown today is this grab by Josh Downs. He drew the penalty. It was a pass interference on Paulson Adebo, but he was able to separate away from him, still come down with the catch anyway, in what is a 7-0 lead for a Colts team who is fighting for their playoff lives. They would need a miracle to get in, but I suppose it's possible. A team who we are very familiar with, of course, beat them in the playoffs a year ago. In Baltimore, we could certainly use a Cardinals win. Dante Moore has been unbelievable today. This is one of his 2 touchdown passes caught by Torrey Horton. The Cardinals scored 3 touchdowns in the final 5 minutes of the first half. They lead at 28-14. Dante Moore, 15 of 16, 229, 2 touchdowns. I think it's fair to say the Cardinals have their franchise quarterback. With Baltimore, we want them to lose for seeding. Now, if we win out these next 2 games, how they play won't matter. But if we lose today against Kansas City, that'll give us a little extra breathing room. And then in Jacksonville, look at Trevor Lawrence spinning off the sack, connecting with Brian Thomas Jr. 21-17 lead for the Jaguars. That game has been a really good one as well. We are rooting for a Bengals win, though. Regardless if we win the division or end up as a wild card, there's a chance that we will be with Jacksonville. They're in the midst of a competitive AFC South race as well with Tennessee. A Bengals win helps us because them winning doesn't hurt us at all. They're 2 games behind us, and we beat them earlier in the year. We had the head-to-head tiebreaker, so we're guaranteed to finish ahead of them unless, I guess, they win the division. But I'm not sure that's possible with Baltimore 2 games ahead of them as well. So as we go into the second half, I think we're looking at a shootout. An offensive duel, Bo Nix versus Patrick Mahomes. Who's the better quarterback? Who can will his team to victory and lead his team to a likely division title? As Denver starts with it, first down at the 29. Nix looks to throw it. I don't know why he sent it into traffic. It is picked off. Jamari Connor with the interception for the Chiefs. We're 10 seconds into the second half, and this game has been flipped on its head. Certainly not in favor of the Broncos. Kansas City at the 27, 2nd and 9. Mahomes in the zone. He's got Ferguson to the 12. In order to take Mahomes out of the zone, we would need to sack him. The problem is we had 0 sacks in the first half, as did Kansas City's defense as well. 3rd and 4. Mahomes looking short for the rookie Zachariah Branch. All 3 of Kansas City's rookie wide receivers have caught touchdowns today. Branch's twin, Zion Branch, also plays on the Chiefs in the secondary. As Denver's got it at the 37. That ball's out! It's a fumble, and it's picked up by the defense! A collapse from Bo Nix with an interception and a fumble. First sack of the game by either team. Aaron Graves is the one with the strip sack, and he is also the one who recovered it. The Chiefs all of a sudden have built some momentum quickly with a turnover, a touchdown, another turnover, and another touchdown. Terrence Ferguson, that's 5 for Mahomes in this game, and the Chiefs are up by multiple possessions. You cannot fall behind against the Chiefs. We've done a horrible job coming out of halftime in the 3rd quarter. At the very least, can we please not turn the ball over? Tez Johnson down the sidelines with a huge gain to the 25. Bo Nix has got to settle down after the interception and the fumble. We are moving it well on this drive, though, as it's 2nd and 2. Nix scrambles around with a spin, with space, and he will waltz into the end zone for a touchdown. A much-needed drive for Denver after an interception and a fumble from Bo Nix. He still looked confident. He still looked poised. You got to have a short mind as a quarterback, maybe not too short. But Bo Nix looked himself on that drive, and we are within one score. Got to get something out of the defense here. I don't think the defense is fully to blame for those last 2 touchdowns, but we've got to do better in the red zone. And overall, the defense has not had a great game. I mean, Mahomes does have 5 touchdowns for a reason, as he's got Dickey down the field. Right, missed the initial angle. Surtain eventually tracks him down, but not before he gains 64 yards. Jurion Dickey does not have great launch speed. If he had average speed, he would have gotten to the end zone, but still a big gain nonetheless. The Chiefs have been excellent in the red zone today. We'll see if they can strike again. 2nd and 4. Mahomes wide open. Kavorian Barnes, the young running back out of UTSA. I think Mahomes has had 5 different players catch his 6 touchdowns so far. That is awfully impressive. 42-28. Denver's got some work to do. 3rd and 6. Nix under a lot of pressure. He's just got to get rid of this football. Throws it away. The last thing we needed there was a 3 and out. Kansas City's in a really good spot. They had the 2 turnovers in the 3rd. They had the big play there by Dickey. I feel like our defense hasn't even been that bad on a snap-by-snap basis. The problem is the Chiefs have been getting big plays when they needed to. They've been excellent on 3rd down. There's a nice grab by Ferguson for the 1st down. Nearing the end of the 3rd, they will not get another playoff. 42-28, big quarter for the Chiefs. They are 1 quarter away from not clinching the AFC West, but putting fate in their own hands in order to do so. We'll see if Denver can pull off what would be an impressive comeback. I mean, we came back down 3 scores in 7 minutes earlier this year against the Chargers. In terms of the score, this would be easier, but these guys are also not the Chargers. This is Mahomes and the Chiefs. Good start, though. Wiley only gets 4. He's wrapped up by Benjamin Morrison. So the door is somewhat open for the offense. Got to score here, down by 2 possessions. Time is of the essence, given that the Chiefs are probably going to be looking to chew clock next time they get the ball. From the 20, Nix on the run. He's got Mims wide open. Whoop! Juke move. Has the defender breaking his ankles, and he brings it to the 38. Mims continuing what's been an impressive game back, and he hasn't gotten hurt. That's the biggest thing. From the 38, we'll go to the ground. Henderson finds space up the middle and gains 50. Just because we're down and we're in the 4th doesn't mean we have to entirely go away from the run game. Now it is a 2nd and 5. Nix goes short. He's got Mims again. Another 1st down for Mims. As Aaron Graves is hurt, he had the strip sack and recovery earlier. 7:35 to play in the 4th at the 36. We're going to go to the ground again. This time it does not work so well as Harrison Whaley loses 2. Stephen Daly wraps him up. Now it's a 2nd and 12. Nix looks deep downfield. It is intercepted again. Kamal Hayden picks it off. It looked like Ryan Williams was going to be open, but I think Nix threw the ball a little bit too late to where Hayden's able to jump the route. That's 3 turnovers in the 2nd half for Nix. I'm not going to entirely blame him for all of them. The first interception was really bad. The other 2 I feel like was more so good defense, but still cannot afford to turn the ball over 3 times in a game where we don't have much margin for error. Chiefs lose yardage on 1st down, now 3rd and 11. Our run defense has been great today, but it's not going to matter if they keep converting 3rd downs through the air. Case in point, wide open is Ray. He gets it to the 32. Another big gain for the Chiefs. Mahomes is 1 passing touchdown away from tying the all-time record. By the way, it's been one of those days defensively. 2nd and inches. That one is caught for a 1st down to the 15 by Ferguson. We are top 10 in the NFL in points allowed per game, yet we've let up 42 and maybe more on the way. From the 15 now for the Chiefs, looking to add another one with Barnes in the backfield. They're letting this clock go. I know their offense wants to keep trying to get as many points as possible. Mahomes goes short. It is caught inside the 5 to the 3. That is the rookie, Zachariah Branch. We'll see if they can punch it in as it's now a 2nd and goal Barnes again, the running back. He gets it, and Kavorian Barnes, untouched, walks the red carpet. The Chiefs are up by 3 possessions, and Denver will need an absolute miracle with under 3.5 minutes to go. 2nd and 10 at the 30. Here is Nix under pressure from Daly. Is able to scramble by him. On the run. Wide open. It's overthrown. Both Mims and Fannin were open there. He was looking for Fannin, but we put a little too much on that pass. 3rd and 10 now at the 30. Nix looks to throw it up the middle. He's got Fannin again. Threads the defense. Finds the opening. And there goes Fannin. Past the 15. A gain of 58 for the big tight end as we hurry back to the line. From the 12, following their longest offensive play of the game, Nix looking for the end zone. It is hauled in by the rookie Ryan Williams for a touchdown. A good drive by the offense. We moved down the field quickly. Would have been nice to have this earlier in the 4th, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. Now time for the onside kick, as this one will be swiftly recovered by the Kansas City Chiefs. So Jaden Ott recovers the onside kick. Now Kansas City looks to finish off the job. 2.5 minutes to go. We're calling our timeouts here as Barnes loses a yard. Savon Revel. If I'm the Chiefs, I throw the ball here on 3rd and 10. They haven't been able to run it, but their passing game, especially in the intermediate area of the field, has been virtually unstoppable. So we'll see what they do here on 3rd down. A first puts them in a great spot as they'll go RPO. Ferguson gets 3 or 4. So the Broncos do get the stop. That'll bring the field goal team out. Butker looking to make it a 50-piece for the Chiefs from 53 yards out. And his kick is blocked! Benjamin Morrison respects women! Damon Clowney picks it up. Benjamin Morrison blocks the field goal. He is cooking there. Normally, Harrison Butker likes when his wife is cooking in the kitchen. He doesn't like that type of cooking. So Denver gets it following the 2-minute warning. 2nd and 8. Nick steps up in the pocket, and he will get around 6. Hurrying back to the line. We are out of timeouts as it is a 3rd and 2. Play action. Nix looking. He's got Tez Judson, who is out of bounds. He gets the first down to the 32, stopping the clock with 1.5 minutes to go, a little bit over. Following play here for Denver. Nix looks to throw it. He will look up the middle. He's got Ryan Williams. No one will catch him. Walks in for a score. It's a 1-possession ball game. We've still got to get the onside kick, though, and with no timeouts left, this does decide the game. We'll see if we're able to adjust on the kick as it is recovered by the Chiefs. And Kansas City will hang on. Certainly one of our stranger performances of the year. But the Broncos fall in defeat, 49-42. And although the Chiefs have not clinched the division yet, they are in the driver's seat going into the final week of the season. Who gets blamed for this? Because on one hand, Bo Nix turned the ball over 3 times in the second half. That's unacceptable. But he was outstanding otherwise, and he led us to scoring 42 points. 42 should be more than enough to win. But the defense had one of those games. You guys know what I'm talking about. Our defense plays well 13 games a year, and then the games they don't play well, they look lost. I look at the Raiders game earlier this year. I look at the Lions game earlier this year. To an extent, Baltimore last week, even though we won, and now here against the Chiefs. And my concern is, what if the defense has one of these blow-up games, if you will, in the playoffs? We're going to be playing against quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, like Jalen Daniels, like Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. So we cannot afford to have performances like this. Mahomes threw 6 touchdowns for crying out loud. But if Bo Nix even takes one of those turnovers off the board, there's a real chance we end up winning this game. I don't think it's fair to blame him. We scored 42 points. But, you know, if one of those ends up differently, we're looking at possibly a different result. It was good to see Marvin Mims back. He played well. A lot of receivers played well on both sides. T. Ferg, Jurion Dickey, Sco Ducks. Tez Johnson, Sco Ducks. Oregon representation at the top. Zachariah Branch played well. Fannin made some big plays. Ryan Williams scored twice. And then defensively, Marvin Grant was really impressive, and that's really about it. Neither pass rush was good, but for us, it's inexcusable. We've got to get to the quarterback. Mahomes was in the zone the entire length of the second half because we could not get a sack to save our lives. The secondary, I don't think it was completely horrible. We did a good job of jarring the ball out, but we also let them catch the ball because they were wide open. In terms of scores around the league, the Jaguars lost to the Bengals. That's good. The Raiders won, though. That's not good. The Titans beat the Bills. That's also not good. We'll talk about why in a second. Players of the week, obviously, Patrick Mahomes. Duh. He's joined by Sawyer Robertson, Walter Nolan, and Max Crosby. So with 1 week to go, we have not obviously clinched the division. We've fallen into second. We haven't even clinched a playoff spot yet. Now, a lot would need to happen for us to miss, but it is possible. The good thing, though, is that we're about to play the Cleveland Browns, who might be the worst team in the league, and we're going to get to do so at home. But if we lose, things get shaky. The Jaguars, the 8th seed, they're 1 game back. The Jets, the 9th seed, they're 1 game back, and they beat us earlier in the year. They had the head-to-head. So we've got to take care of business. Earlier in the season, I was hoping we would get to play some backups in this game. That will not be the case. We've got to clinch a playoff spot here in Week 18, and if the stars align, maybe clinch the division after all. Hope you guys enjoyed. We've got a lot to cover in the next episode. We've got prospect profiles for defense, just defense. We're going to have to figure out how we can fix this defense outside of prospects. How we can fix it now. Allowing 49 points, even against the Chiefs, is inexcusable. That'll wrap up the episode, though. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Peace out.